Hello, everyone. I am Andy Anderson. My partner Ike Allen and I are the co-owners of Avaya University. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us, as always. In this event, we're talking with some really incredible fellow experts. We're talking with therapists, psychologists, doctors, best-selling authors, and more, and they are here to help provide you with tools and strategies to help you experience greater happiness, peace, and joy in your life. Today, our guest is going to talk about how your connection to the divine is the key to dissolve and depression and anxiety. So please welcome the fabulous Shelly Bullard. Hi there.
Hello. So nice to be with you.
It's so nice to have you. For those of you who don't know, or maybe are just joining us here in this Avaya University journey, Shelly was also on our Breaking Free from Abandonment and Betrayal event a few months ago, and we just had to have her back. That was such an important topic, as is this. So thank you for joining us again.
Yeah, I love being with you guys. So thank you for having me.
Yes. So I'm going to tell everyone a little bit about you, Shelly, if they don't know you already, and they get a little taste of what you're up to in the world, and then we'll get started on this topic. So Shelly is a licensed marriage and family therapist. She's a love coach and a spiritual teacher. Through her articles, courses, and coaching, she has guided hundreds of thousands of people to find their true essence of love within and become the embodiment of this essence of love and ultimately create the relationships that their hearts truly desire. Shelly was named the Love Guru as one of the 100 women to watch by Mind Body Green, and her work has been featured in all sorts of publications like Cosmopolitan, Yoga Life Magazine, the Omega Institute, the Good Men Project, Elephant Journal, as well as many other blogs, publications, and podcasts. So let's get into this. So let's just jump right into this topic. How is it that a person's connection to the divine or spirituality or whatever that looks like for them, how does that help them dissolve suffering from depression and anxiety?
Yeah, I love this. And I think this is it's a beautiful approach. It's actually a very simple approach when learning to deal with depression and anxiety. Like, it's kind of a one path approach. And so first, let's just look at what depression is and what anxiety is, just through this perspective, the perspective that's going to come through me. So depression often is a sense, if we go deep within ourselves, what depression is, it's a lack of connection. It can be a sense of being, it could translate into actually being isolated, but it's an inner isolation. It's a sense of not having purpose. There's like an emptiness within, right? That as I'm speaking it, we can feel it. That's what depression feels like. It's this emptiness.
Right.
And interesting enough, I don't know if other people are looking at it from this perspective, anxiety is almost the other side of the coin. It's too much. It's overwhelm. There's too much in my field. There's too much going on. I am scared. I can't get it all done. I'm scared. I'm not going to be taken care of. I'm not going to be taken care of. So we have these two sides of the spectrum there. The depression being, I'm disconnected. There is nothing. There's an emptiness, and anxiety being like, there's too much and I'm not going to be taken care of. And the reason learning to connect to your divine essence, which is we are all the divine. We are all the divine. We are the truest essence of who we are is the divine. And the reason why learning to find this connection is really going to absolutely dissolve, eradicate depression and anxiety is because the essence of the divine is the sense of connection. And it is the sense of I am taken care of. It's the sense of that within yourself. And the way life works and the way we work, the energy that we're resonating within is how we start to perceive ourselves and how we start to create our reality. So if you can find a pathway to connect into, if depression is really where you land, actually there's connection right here. And if you just start there, it just has to start little, but you start building on that, you will work your way out of depression. You'll recognize, wait a minute, eventually you reach, I'm connected to everything. I'm never alone. I'm connected to all of life. I am connection itself. And on the side of the anxiety, if you learn to feel that deep sense of, I'm going to be taken care of. I don't have to have it all worked out, but there is a greater essence here that is going to take care of me. Yeah, if you can find that, then the anxiety goes away. So this is why connecting to the divine really is the answer for dealing with these types of mental health issues, we could say, or just states of being.
I like that. I like, first of all, how you labeled it that, right? Like states of being as opposed to a mental or in addition to, or whatever, another way of looking at mental health illness. And I also love the looking at it from the perspective of the other side of the coin. I've like, that's an interesting, right? It's an interesting parallel, because I guess I really at this point hadn't quite thought of it like that, right?
Yeah.
The depression is that emptiness, that lack of connection, and the anxiety is, oh my God, there's just too much, and there's so much surrounding me and just spinning around me, and I won't be taken care of. So absolutely. That's a great way of looking at it. And I see like, the connection to the divine, again, whatever that looks like for anyone watching or feels like, or whatever your experience of the divine is. Yes, that creates that balance between the two worlds. I love that. That's beautiful.
Right. And can I say something in connection
please.
to what you're saying? Yes, it is important to look at it as a state of being rather than I am depressed.
Yes.
Because your words and your self-identification, what you believe to be true about yourself, is absolutely influencing what gets created. And so states of being are transient. You know what I mean? Like we can have a good moment and then a bad moment, or a good day and then there's a couple bad moments, but they move. They move. And this is very important, really, really important, to not become incredibly identified with being depressed or incredibly identified with being anxious, because that identification, it seals it in place. Depression is just a state of being. You can choose your state of being. And while if you've been in depression for a while, it may feel hard to choose a different state of being. If you practice a new state of being, you will work your way out. So yes, it's a state of being. It's not who you are. It's not who you are.
Yes, that's beautiful. Yeah, I think the disidentification of really anything. It could be depression, it could be anxiety, it could be like, I'm selfish, I'm whatever, I'm insecure, I'm XYZ. All of those things are identities. Absolutely. So I love that, right? They're transient. These are things that we can go in and out of. Kind of like, it kind of reminds me of just like emotions in general, right? We each experience like ups and downs and nooks and crannies. And that's our human experience.
Right. Or even life in general. Life is filled with surprises every single day. We don't know who we're going to pass on the street. We don't know but it's constantly moving. And, when we start connecting to the divine within, we recognize we actually have a lot more power than we once knew. And we have influence over what happens out there and what happens to us.
So let's talk a little bit about like practical applications that people could start, applying in their life today. So what are some things that they can do to help them, create a way of being that is not depressed, that is not anxious, that is something different?
Right. So let's start with depression. Okay. So back to the first point. Essentially, depression, looking through this lens, is a sense of being disconnected, right? So what is going to heal depression is a sense of connection, a sense of connection in yourself and a sense of connection with life. And essentially, that's the same thing, but that's maybe a different, to go all the way there, we don't need to go all the way there. So if you are someone who lands on the spectrum in more of a state of depression, my recommendation would be your work is to start small steps, finding connection. Finding connection. So the easiest way, that it's going to be probably easier to find connection first outside of yourself and then start feeling it inside of yourself. So here's some ways you can find connection outside of yourself. Number one, I'm drinking a cup of tea. So this is an easy way to feel connection. Seriously. It's something that I enjoy doing. I'm grateful for my tea. It's delicious. I just start having small appreciation for this small experience. And there is a sense of connection. I mean, the mind isn't going to understand that, but if I'm appreciating this cup of tea and this moment with this cup of tea, a sense that there is a frequency of connection that is in that. If you have pets, this would be amazing for someone with depression, with your cat, let's say, or your dog, just having a moment of connection with your animal, which they are phenomenal for this because they are just beings of unconditional love. They want to love you. Having a sense of connection with an animal, or maybe it doesn't even have to be your animal. Having a sense of connection with nature. Nature is a phenomenal way to feel connection. And one of the reasons is nature in its own essence is living in harmony. It is the essence of the divine, unencumbered. It is love. So when we go into nature, we start to feel more connected. We see the trees. We can even touch the trees, start to feel more connected. And as you're building these practices of feeling more connected, you are going to start to feel an inner sense of connection. I am connected. You cannot feel depressed when you feel connected. You can't feel depressed when you feel connected. The first steps, I'm just noticing this myself. This wasn't intentional, but it makes sense. I used connections with objects. That can be easier than connection with people. People can get a little more complicated, mostly because of beliefs. But make your way up. So you start making connections with things, or, animals or objects, and then maybe start reaching out to people. But essentially, whatever is going to make you feel connected on the outside, that is what you want to do. And when you feel the connection, this is very important. Stop and notice it and be with it and recognize, oh, I am connected. Okay. Oh yeah. Like this is what it feels like. And you really are going to just want to start practicing that inner experience. The more you practice it, the more you're just going to leave depression behind. You can't feel depressed when you're connected. Does that make sense?
Yes. Oh, beautiful. I love it. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's perfect. So everyone watching right now, these are actual, right, applicable things you can start doing in your life. And absolutely, if you have a pet, I mean, I'm a big fan of pets because we have a fabulous dog. So it's so true. And whether you're, you have your own or not, find somebody else's if you're into animals, and if not, nature. Awesome. Right. Yes. Like it is. I mean, whatever kind of nature you like. I mean, the beach or the woods or the grass or the snow or whatever. Oh, it's such a beautiful way to connect. I love it. So
right. And what you're going to want to do is consciously recognize that the experience is an experience of connection. So often we're going through our day and we're doing these things. We're petting our cat, we're drinking our tea, we may be on a walk, but we aren't consciously saying, oh, this is connection. I'm connected in this experience. That's the piece you want to add in. You want to consciously be telling yourself and recognizing, this is connection. This feels like connection. This actually is connection. So that's the added piece. And you will find it makes every experience sacred, actually. When we are consciously feeling the connection between everything that is, we are in sacred space. And again, in that sacred space, you cannot feel depressed. You can't.
Love it.
Just wanted to add that.
So let's talk a little bit about people, since you mentioned, right, it can be a little harder with people, and I totally get that. I'm more of an introverted. Well, I would say I lean towards introverted over extroverted. So I certainly understand. Right. I understand that a lot. I totally connect with that it being harder potentially to connect with people. But what you said something about belief. Yeah. So could you talk a little bit about why is it that some of us have a harder time connecting with people?
Yeah, it's because we have loaded beliefs about people. So, and that's because we've had experiences with people that have hurt. So most of us have not had an experience with a tree that has hurt us. I haven't had like many experiences with a cup of tea that has hurt me. I mean, not, you know, I don't blame the tea if it does, or
right.
even animals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because we have cleaner belief systems around objects. When it comes to people, our belief systems aren't so clean. So what I mean by that is, whether we know it or not, we have expectations of how we're going to be hurt by others. And this comes from our past wounding. And so what is unfortunate about that is we're creating our realities with those expectations. So if we are moving into relationship with an expectation of, this person isn't going to like me, this person doesn't want to be around me, I'm not going to be loved by this person. And it may not even be conscious. It's just what you think about people, even below the surface, then you recreate that. And so it takes a little more work to unhook your belief systems about people, or to just shift them. You know, it can be as simple as, I'm going to believe that people like me. I'm going to believe that people like me. I'm going to believe that people want to take care of me. I'm going to believe that people want to be connected to me. If you can't do that once, though, you got to like ingrain that into your system. And if you do, you will get a new experience with people on the outside. But this is why it's a little more challenging with other people, because we just have a lot of hangups that we have to let go of to create a new type of relationship. And we don't have those hangups in other places in our lives.
Absolutely. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's perfect. So I think we might go a little deeper into that in a few minutes, but I do want you to touch also on anxiety. So those struggling with anxiety, and not everybody I know watching right now has both. So
Right.
maybe you're just, you know, someone who's depressed or just anxiety or whatever, but we want to, obviously the event is all about both. So we'll touch on anxiety as well. So what kinds of things can they do to get out of that way of being called anxious?
Yes. So again, it's really the same process. And this is a process you can use to change anything in your reality. Right now, we're looking at depression and anxiety. So anxiety, what we spoke about at the beginning is, and this may not be exactly it for you. You can choose what it is for you. But the way I see anxiety is like, I'm not going to be taken care of. I'm not going to be okay. It's from total overwhelm. I'm not going to be okay. It's like the doomed feeling. I'm not going to be okay. So what would be the opposite? What's the healing frequency? It's, I'm taken care of. I'm taken care of. I'm taken care of. So again, it could even be the same things that I mentioned about depression. It's like, well, am I having a cup of tea, or did I have lunch today? Well, that took care of me. When I went on a walk, did the sun like shine down on me and warm my body? Okay, I feel taken care of by that. Did the wind come, and was it a nice experience? Okay, I'm feeling taken care of by that. Is my animal shining love on me? Okay, I'm feeling taken care of. It's these small steps. And it's how we interpret the experience. If you start interpreting these small daily experiences as you being taken care of by life, your anxiety is going to go down. Your stress levels you are going to actually feel taken care of. And I just thought of, someone may have a question of, well, is that just not being in reality? What if I have stuff to be worried about? What if I have a lot of bills? And the real truth is, which, may or may not be easy to understand or believe, your energy and how you are feeling will determine how your life unfolds. You being stressed about your bills is not going to pay your bills. It's not going to help paying your bills. You feeling taken care of is actually the best thing you could do to pay your bills. You not being stressed about it is the best thing you can do to smooth anything in your life out and to actually be taken care of. So the inner determines the outer, and whatever frequency you're in is going to determine how you feel and what unfolds. So the best thing you can do is to feel taken care of.
Awesome.
Find all the small ways you can feel taken care of. Just note them multiple times a day. I feel taken care of by my shower. I feel taken care of by brushing my teeth. But you got to really feel it. It's not just rattling off. You have to recognize, oh yeah, this is taking care of me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like, and it just seems to be a matter of like stepping outside of whatever thought process we're having that is like creating
Yes.
that anxiety. Because like, I notice if I'm like, having anxious thoughts and going into, overwhelm about something, I'm like, okay, if I really just take a step back, I'm like, what? Okay, hold on. Does this really need to be done like right now in this precise moment? Does it actually need to be done? Right. And I'm like, no, this,
Right.
right. Like for people who are like, obviously have a lot of stuff on their to-do list or whatever, we always I believe there's always time to like take a breath and like refocus, rebalance, or connect, like you say, right, to the divine and whatever that looks like for you. Like there's always time just to take time for yourself.
Right. And the perspective I come from and what I've known to be true from my own life experience is that the absolute best thing I can do for any experience in my life is be embodied, aligned, know I'm taken care of, know that I am loved. Like the best actions to solve anything will be taken from that space. And in fact, that's the inner space. That is the connection to the divine that is going to take care of everything for me.
Right.
So there's no reason not to go. It's never going to be a bad thing. Like it's always going to help. It's always going to help. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I love it. So let's talk a little bit more. I would love it if you talk a little bit more about relationships, since I know that's a specialty of yours. Like how do the ways of being called depression and anxiety influence people's ability to have a healthy relationship, ability to find a healthy relationship? I know that you work in that area. You kind of touched on it already with depression, but any more you could say about that?
Well, yeah, again, so like if you are running on the side of the spectrum that's depression, and your experience is being disconnected, that's going to play out with people in your life. You're going to feel disconnected. You're going to feel isolated. And then the more you feel isolated, the more you're going to isolate. It becomes a vicious circle. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And then on the other side with anxiety, the anxiety could be, I'm anxious that I'm not going to be liked, or I'm anxious that my person's going to leave me, or I'm anxious, all these, and anything that you are running within your system, any belief and the energy, the combination of the belief and the energy is going to play out. And so really, I teach people to manifest love. And the way I teach that is by them finding love within themselves and coming into that experience of wholeness within. And from that point, then attracting the partner in. And in fact, we're going to attract people who do what we expect them to do. We're going to attract people who treat us how we treat ourselves. So I would suggest if anyone is still in the realm of kind of struggling with anxiety or depression and it's an ongoing thing, ideally you'll find a pathway that works for you to get out of these states, and you'll be living in a more aligned, whole, full, self-loving state. And then from there, attracting a partner in is going to be really great. If you are in a relationship and you're going through dips of this type of these states, I would start expecting, or in your own inner world, my partner can love me through this. My partner can support me through this. My partner wants to love me through this. Your own belief system. Start training your belief system to be what you want it to be in terms of how your partner deals with you in this experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Once again, right, being taken care of. So there it is. Yep.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, and also like one thing people could also keep in mind is what would you do for your partner if he or she or they are in the same scenario as you? Would you be taking care of them and helping them through, right, that same scenario? Chances are most people are willing to, right, help their partners through a tough time or be standing by their side. So just kind of taking a look at that mirror. So I love it.
Yeah, create the belief system of what you want to happen. And this does not mean create the belief system and tell your partner to do it. It means create the belief system really create the belief system, and then watch your partner do it. Your partner will step into your belief system. If your belief system is really, really solid, if you expect to be loved, you will be loved. That's how it works.
Yep.
Yeah.
So here's kind of like a universal question around anxiety and depression. Do you think, like, as a therapist, as well as, you know, a life coach and all the things that you do you see more people struggling with anxiety and depression these days? Do you think it's more prevalent, like, or not? What are your thoughts on that?
That's an interesting question. I don't typically see people with, it just kind of depends. So I guess it depends on, that's a hard question because it's who I call into my field.
Right.
Too,
yeah.
Right. So I don't have a view of like what's going on out there. What would I say? I would say probably it's both. We're at a really interesting time in history. People are connecting to their innate wholeness, and from that, they're feeling more powerful and more amazing and more gorgeous than ever before. They're creating their realities. They understand that they have power. So that is happening. And there's probably, on the other side of the spectrum, incredible disconnection that is fueled, you know, by the opposite. You know, of course, things like social media, it could go on this side or it can go on this side. It can make us feel incredibly inadequate. It can make us feel incredibly small and like we're not good enough and all of that. So I would say probably both are happening, if that makes sense. People are really expanding, and then people are also falling into their contraction. But the beautiful thing about the contraction, about the depression, the anxiety, whatever else is up for you, is that is the point that you can have a really big turning point in your life. I mean, that's what happened to me. I had a spiritual awakening in 2011. It came from a dark night of the soul. Right. It came from a state of depression. And in that state of depression, what happened was an inner essence awoke and was like, honey, you're never disconnected. Like, that's not real. And I was lucky enough to recognize that, hear that, recognize it was truth, and not let go of it. And my life transformed entirely. So these things are solvable, and they're actually in my experience, in my practice, they're easily solvable. They're easily solvable. They really, really are. You could come out of depression or anxiety and never have to experience it again. And I'm being real when I'm saying that. It is just your inner working. And when you find the right people that can get you there, that can wake that up in you and help you recognize, oh my God, I'm actually always connected, and you really start to live from that place, you will never have to experience depression again or anxiety. Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's very, that whole last little section is so touching, and I feel it, and I'm tearing up over here because I get it. I get how you felt that connection, and that is totally what's available to everybody watching. And
that's right.
Maybe you won't have the same experience of never experiencing depression or anxiety again, or maybe you will, but just knowing that you can keep coming back to that connection and keep coming back to it, and knowing that you're always taken care of. It's so like freeing to get that.
Yes. And anyone watching, you are meant to feel that. Like you are here to wake up to your true nature, which is this infinite experience of being connected to all that is. You are here to wake up to that. And actually when you do, you'll see, oh, the depression got me here. Like the depression helped me get here. And so the way I would say the best advice I have is find the teachers, find the books, find the YouTube videos, find whatever you can that wakes that up a little bit inside of you. The part of you that's like, okay, that's true. Like, or, oh, I do feel connected, or, oh, I feel my heart expand. Anything that opens you and brings you closer to or further away from the depression and into more love, just train yourself. Just keep going back to those people. you will create a new reality.
I love it. Thank you. It's just like, that's what it's all about. And I really hope everybody is feeling that same kind of connection. Here's like one of the positive things that like digital media can give us. We can feel connected. Like, you were talking about like the positives and negatives of things like social media or whatever. And like, like I love this because see you and like we can connect with everyone watching and feel that connection between each other, and this is one of the beautiful ways we can do that. So
true. I agree.
So I want to make sure that you have a chance to talk about a gift you have for everybody. So there's a button below this video, everybody, that leads over to a gift Shelly has for you on her website. So tell us about this.
Yeah, sure. So my gift is called How to Become the Most Attractive Version of Yourself. And it is an ebook. And it's really about what I'm speaking about in this call. It's like, it's learning to awaken to and align with and embody your divine nature, which when we are aligned with our divine nature, we are the most attractive versions of ourselves. We are calling to us whatever we desire. And so that's what that book is. It's an intro into that process.
Awesome. Thank you. We appreciate that. And everybody, you can just click through on that button and head over and grab your ebook. Are there any last insights? Anything else you want to share before we hop off?
Let me feel into that. Yeah, just know, if you're hearing me and it's touching the part of you that knows there's a different type of reality for you. If there's a part of you that knows it's supposed to be different, if you can feel that even just a little bit, stay as connected to that as you can. Follow it, listen to it, see where it takes you, see where it guides you, trust it. And allow that. That's your wisdom. That's your wisdom within. Allow that to show you the way. Allow that to show you the way out.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Shelly. This has been awesome to reconnect with you. And speaking of connection, and
yes, awesome. So good.
I appreciate it. And everyone, thank you so much for showing up for yourself, for tuning into this class and being here for yourself. That is like the number one thing of all, right? Is to show up. So I appreciate it. And we will see you on the next one, everybody. Take care. Hey everyone, I just wrapped up a great class with Shelly Bullard, and she talked with us about how your connection to the divine is the key to dissolve depression and anxiety. I love Shelly. As I mentioned in the beginning, we had her on our Breaking Free from Abandonment and Betrayal event and really felt a deep connection with her and all the work she does in the world. And I thought she did such a great job of talking about this topic today. So she talked about depression and anxiety really being like the different sides of one coin, right? Like depression being the lack of connection. Ultimately, it's a feeling of not feeling connected to anyone or anything, not having a purpose, feeling empty inside. And then anxiety being too much, right? Being overwhelmed, like not being able to keep up and not feeling like you're going to be taken care of, right? You're at risk of not being taken care of. So I think the most important thing is to recognize, like Shelly mentioned, is these are both just states of being. Right? They are not identities. They are states of being, and states of being, just like emotions, just like thoughts, beliefs, all of those things are transient in our life. They can come and go. They can ebb and flow. They are not something that you are. They are something maybe you're experiencing right now or you're practicing being right now, but they are not something solid that has to stay that way. So they are not identities. So I think that in and of itself is a huge aha for anyone struggling with anxiety and depression. So she talked about a few different strategies and ways to really start finding connection again as it relates to depression. So since depression is all about not feeling connected, try to do things in your life that help you feel connected. And she recommended to first start outside of yourself, right? Maybe that's connecting to animals or connecting to nature or stopping and noticing the connection when you're drinking a cup of tea, like she mentioned, or when you're eating one of your favorite meals, like stopping and noticing the connection that you have with that food. Maybe it's the connection with your body. Maybe you go out on a walk and you feel your blood pumping through your body and you start to feel the connection of you and your experience of in your body. And just really take note and recognize how it feels for you to feel and be connected. So the tips she had around anxiety and starting to move out of that state of being anxious is just look at the areas of your life that you feel like you're getting taken care of. Since she mentioned that anxiety is not feeling taken care of or being scared that you won't be taken care of, what are the areas that you are taken care of in? And get present to those areas. Maybe you want to journal those things. Maybe you want to write them down. Maybe you want to meditate on those things. But what are those areas where you feel like you are being taken care of? Maybe it's, I have a roof over my head. Maybe it's, I have enough food in the refrigerator. Maybe it's, I have an amazing partner that takes care of me, or I have children that I take care of and they take care of me, and all of that stuff. So just getting present to how you are already taken care of in your life, even if it's just like the simplest of things, getting present to those areas of your life. So I thought this was really powerful. I hope you enjoyed this latest class from Shelly, and you truly felt that you can always get back to feeling connected and taken care of, right? You can always get back to that essence, whatever you want to call it, to knowing that you are connected and you are taken care of. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Take care.